Great. So welcome everybody, and thanks, Rob. Rob is our new political director at Impact. I'm Neil Makija. I'm the executive director. It's really exciting year for us. As those of you may know, our goal is to help elect Indian Americans nationwide. We had a number of firsts in 2020, including Assemblywoman Rajkumar, who's on the call tonight, as well as Senator Jeremy Cooney in New York, who couldn't make it but sends his best to everyone here. We had first in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, really in all over the country, in Vermont, and it's long overdue that we have someone specifically on the New York City Council. So it's an honor to kind of have a number of candidates here tonight who we've reached out to, and I'm going to kick it off to our resident New Yorker and our founder of Impact, Raj Goyal, who many of you know. He was among the first elected officials in the country, first DSE electeds in the country, as in the state legislature in Kansas. He's now in New York as the CEO of a legal tech startup called Badala. But please, Raj.
Thank you very much, Neil. Good evening, everybody. And I should just say, Neil is our the third executive director in a short history of Impact, but certainly, no pun intended, made the greatest impact, and that's an illustrious line. Many of you know Gautam Raghavan, who is gone to a very high position in the Biden administration as the founding executive director. But thank you to Neil, who has grown our organization to such dizzying heights that we have a political director. There's many organizations who are this age, who are this young, who never dream of having a staff of 5, but that's what we have. So thank you, Neil, and it obviously reflects very well, not just on Neil and our organization, but on the community at large. And thank you all. Looks like we have a great group of about 25 folks here, which is great. That's exactly how these things start, and I'm sure we'll get some more people coming in throughout the evening. So I'm Raj Goyal, as Neil said. I'm the co-founder of Impact. I was a million years ago. I think it was exactly 1,000,001 years ago. I was elected to the Kansas State House in 2006, if you can believe it. And yes, there are Indians in Kansas. There's like 6 of us, but there we were. And I knocked on about 10,000 doors in that first campaign. Like many of you who are featured guests tonight, I was just beginning in politics. I'm now 46 years old, 45, soon to be 46, but I was 30 at the time. And I left a pretty valued job in the Beltway as an aide to John Podesta, where I worked at the Center for American Progress when it was a very early startup. I was one of the founding employees. And I had the temerity and the audacity to say, I'm going to go back to Wichita because I wanted to keep an eye on my folks. That's a good DC tradition. We're all good family people, I know. But then I said, I actually thought I could knock off the most right-wing member of the Kansas State House in a district that had never elected a Democrat in its history. And I'm proud to say we did that through sheer pluck and determination and a lot of strategy. And several of you, and I see my old friend Nish Acharya, not that you and I are old, but probably of this crew that I'm seeing here was probably my only donor from that first campaign. And so I only say all of that because when that first wave started, there were no groups like Impact. There were no Daisies in politics. There was nobody. I had a fancy Harvard law degree, but nobody told me how to knock a door, how to ask for money, how to handle it when a dog pees on your shoe when you're walking. I'm sure that's happened to many of you. How you keep the right pocket full of your business cards, the left full of dog biscuits, so that the dog doesn't bark when you're at the door. These are the real things of what happens in politics, of course. And it was an incredible learning experience for me. And I've now been in New York for 10 years. I'm a proud New Yorker here. My wife, who is a Daisy as well, she's from New York. We're raising our children here. Interestingly, my mother and father in their 80s now live on our block in Tribeca. So since this is a Daisy crowd, I think you'll all appreciate that. We now call this Tribeca Nugger. It's like, that was funny. Thank you. That's awesome, boss. That's good. So I've got not only my parents, but my in-laws. So we have 3 apartments with 3 generations on one block in Tribeca. So with that, about sort of the New York aspect, as Neil mentioned, when I got to New York 10 years ago, not only was I shocked at the level of of political, and I'm going to say it for what it's worth, a lack of sophistication around voting access. And, we had more extensive mail balloting laws in Kansas, which of course we New Yorkers think of as like Neanderthal land. But New York was extraordinarily Stone Age when it comes to basic elements of democracy and functioning. And I was shocked. I'll never forget taking my mom to vote, and she goes, "Raj, there it says to vote for 4 judges. There's only 4 names." I said, "Welcome to New York." I was like, that this is the way that our system works here. So, and of course, one of the things that was around democracy in general, but of course, I noted the sheer absence of brown faces among the political class, and that was surprising to me. That when I first got elected, Kansas had a DC state legislator, rural Ohio, rural Iowa, suburban Minnesota, yet no one in New York. So I am so extraordinarily happy to have played a small role in founding impact. And of course, the real work goes to all of you who are the candidates who have actually made history in that regard. So, without further ado, obviously on June 22nd, we have this incredible opportunity. I'm so excited to get to know and highlight these incredible South Asians running in primaries for the city council. But of course, as Neil mentioned, the person who broke the first barrier to breaking the Desi color barrier in Albany was my good friend, Senator Kevin Thomas, who not only is a great guy, but shot me the hysterical text. What was it, a few days ago, when he said that it was the first fundraiser that featured cricket in New York history. Kevin, is that true?
It's true. We're calling it the Senator Kevin Thomas Cup. And it's going to be an interesting exhibition match that's going to take place in about 2 weeks here in my district, Eisenhower Park. So cricket.
I love it, Kevin. Well, I want Kevin to say a couple words, and I just want to, for those of you who don't know, Kevin made history in 2018, not just for the reasons I mentioned around ethnicity and background in our community. He knocked off an incredibly powerful incumbent with a razor-thin margin of 51-49, so we call him Landslide Kevin. And then, in the next cycle, he was absolutely again, on the ropes, but pulled it off. And so he's an incredible fighter. And of all the characteristics of the thousands of politicians I've met and interacted with, tenacity and grit are the ones that I respect the most. So, Kevin has that in spades. So he's from Nassau County. Kevin, Senator Thomas, the floor is yours for 3 minutes. Please, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you to Impact. Thank you to Neil and to Rob for just being there for Desi candidates that want to run. Like Raj said, when I decided to run for office, I literally Googled how to run for office. And that's how I learned to, file papers. I did it by myself, finding a fundraiser. And now we have Impact to guide candidates that truly want to run. Back in 2018, when I was trying to raise money for a multi-million-dollar race, I only raised $110,000 and I was able to win this. In 2020, this was the most expensive race in the state at $5 million, with the New York City PBA spending over $1 million against me, as well as the Estee Lauder CEO, because of my vote on repealing 50A and holding police officers accountable for things that they do. And I continue to vote for police accountability and do all the great things to make it easier to vote. Like Rod said, we changed a lot of things in 2019 and a lot of other progressive policies to make New York better for everyone. So thank you to Impact for doing this and helping a generation of Desis who will take this leadership role and do so much good for the community. So thank you, Impact.
Well, Senator Thomas is not only extraordinarily impressive, he actually uses his time, which I think is the only Indian in the history of the universe who's actually done that. So not only eloquent but succinct. So thank you very much. For the record, we're 2 minutes ahead of time, which is very rare in Indian land. So without further ado, my other dear friend, Assemblywoman. It's lovely to say that. I don't think I've introduced you at an event since I've been able to say that. I think last one was Assemblywoman-elect. So now I can say Assemblywoman Jenifer Rajkumar, who I first met 11 years ago at it's actually worth mentioning, the precursor, you could say, to Impact. Many of you were not active then because you're too young, but there was a wonderful organization called the Indian American Leadership Initiative, IALI, that was volunteer-led in Washington, where a lot of trailblazers got together to help run that organization. You could say Impact is sort of the next generation of that, fully funded. So Jenifer and I met then. She is born and raised in New York, represents Queens, daughter of Indian immigrants, of course, and she was elected to office last year, where she's one of 2 South Asian members of the state assembly, and most notably, she is the first South Asian woman in the history of Albany, which is no mean feat. So Assemblywoman Rajkumar, the floor is yours for 3 minutes. So thank you for joining.
Thank you, Raj. Can you hear me? Just want to make sure my audio works.
Yep, keep talking. You're good.
Okay, good. Great. So I just want to say, first of all, thank you to my dear friend, Raj Goyal. It's an honor to know him for so many years. He's an older brother to us all, the elder statesman of our community, I often think of him as, and a pathbreaker. And Raj is not in Kansas anymore. He is here in New York, and we're lucky for that reason. And also Neil Mukherjee, also an old dear friend, and Rob, now a new friend. Impact has just an incredible, incredible team. Also to my dear friend, Senator Kevin Thomas, the ultimate pathbreaker, who's been so energetic. I am very proud to be the first Indian American woman elected to state office in New York. It's a privilege. I'm humbled and honored every day. But I take pleasure in knowing that I definitely will not be the last Indian elected in New York City. It can be done. When I ran last year, it was against an incumbent of 11 years. People told me it was impossible, but we won. And not only did we win, we won by the largest margin of any challenger in the state that cycle, 27 percentage points. And after I won, my phone rang for 2 weeks straight. And this always deeply touches me. It was from South Asian families in the district. And they said, our entire family voted for you, aunties, uncles, grandparents, everyone. So our community is really at a moment in history like never before. And I hope everyone here who's so intimately involved in government and politics can just take a moment here at Impact to appreciate that this really is our time. We're running in record numbers. The Vice President of the United States is an Indian American woman. We're making a mark on government like never before. So this is truly our moment. This week, I was proud to unveil a new state bill to make Diwali a school holiday in New York City. I introduced a resolution to make April for the first time Punjabi Awareness Month in the state of New York. I'm high energy, as is my colleague, Senator Kevin Thomas, and all of us in the Samosa Caucus. And I want to say to the candidates today, I don't know many of you. I haven't even met some of you, but I just want you all to know that my door is always open to you. And I welcome discussion on anything that you want to talk about as you go through this. The only thing that I ask is one thing of you, and that is to bring out the
I think we lost you, Jenifer. Jenifer, are you able to hear me? Oh, Neil, can I confirm, did we lose Jenifer?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Unfortunately, well, if anyone can lip read, I'm sure it's she's so Neil, maybe why don't you put something in the chat that she could pick up, but unfortunately, due to these Rob, I don't know if anything you know about her audio feed or no?
No, I'm not hearing anything either. I'm letting her know. Okay,
well, why don't we we'll unfortunately have to break from Jenifer. Maybe we can come back to her. But she was obviously in the middle of saying some great stuff about the community, and unfortunately, we'll have to hear the audio at a later time. Yeah, Kevin.
I can continue for her if you want.
No, it's all right. I think what we'll do is we'll pick up the time. I think we obviously got a great gist of what Jenifer was saying, and hopefully we can come back to her if her schedule permits. Our next speaker is also a great friend, which is who is actually we'll give Jenifer a round of applause there so she knows that she's that's great. So thank you very much, Jenifer. And so Siraj Patel, also someone who needs no introduction, proud to have supported him.
Hi, everyone.
Hey,
I'm
hey
sorry,
Jenifer,
can you hear me?
Jenifer, can you hear me? Okay. So in any case, Neil, why don't you chat with Jenifer if you don't mind? So Siraj, as you know, had two courageous congressional races. By depending on how some votes were counted, frankly, was probably had the votes to be in Congress by now. And we really applaud his terrific campaigns. And it takes a lot of gumption to come out of nowhere and run a race twice. And it also, frankly, to get so darn close, it's both bittersweet because obviously we wish we were saying Congressman Patel. But I'm sure we will someday. So Siraj Patel, a businessman, a political organizer who is in New York. Siraj, thanks for joining us. Before we turn it to these great city council candidates, the floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Thanks, Raj, and thanks everybody. I really appreciate all of you for the impact for throwing this together. I reached out to Neil and I said, let's do something for city council candidates earlier this year, because when I ran for Congress in 2018, I realized there was no infrastructure whatsoever. Like, I got an endorsement from Ravi Bola, the mayor of Hoboken, because I had to cross the Hudson to find a South Asian elected person, period, which is a joke. And in that year, Senator Thomas made it. And this year, Assemblymember Rajkumar. And we still don't have a city council person. So I've reached out to a lot of you. I think Felicia, Shekar, Amit, as much as we can help, as much as I can help, I'm willing to do so for the next, 2 months. I really just want to make sure that we get some infrastructure in place and some representation in our city. So same as what the Assemblywoman said, my email is open, my door is open, and totally will be helpful in anything I can do to get you guys over the top. So let's just get you in office.
Thank you, Siraj. So that's terrific remarks, and I think that's exactly. I think we're on a roll tonight, short and sweet. So, short and sweet. And by the way, Siraj, as usual, on message, nailed it. Let's get you in office. Let's win these races. I'll never forget my first campaign staff for a local guy in Wichita. I said, Nathan, what are we going to do? He's like, we're just going to win. So that is that's the name of the game here. So without further ado, our first candidate is Jaslin Kaur, and she's running in District 23 in Queens. Born and raised in Queens to Sikh immigrant parents, which is great. A bachelor's from Hunter in Women's and Gender Studies. Done a lot of terrific work in the community, including for the National Asian Pacific American Women's Forum. She now works for New American Leaders, an organization I've known a very, very long time. Now, unfortunately, she has her first debate tonight. So what she's done is she's recorded a video for us tonight, and hopefully, knowing that Rob and Neil run a tight shop, the technical whiz-bangery is there. So why don't we go ahead and show the video?
Nice, Rob.
Well done. Almost.
Audio's.
Oh, we're getting close. These are always dangerous.
Hello, friends. My name is Jaslin Kaur. I'm a Democrat for New York City Council in District 23, right here in Eastern Queens. And I'm so sorry I couldn't be with you in person for all of our folks at the India Impact Fund. Thank you as well to Siraj Patel and to all of our fellow South Asian candidates. But I couldn't miss the opportunity to at least be with you in some capacity. So again, my name is Jaslin, and it's an immense honor and privilege to hopefully run and represent the same communities that raised me right here in Glen Oaks, where I was born and raised. I am the daughter of Sikh Punjabi immigrants who came here in the 90s, and I take to heart where I come from, especially in one of the most dire consequences we're having of the COVID-19 pandemic in the place that many of us call home. And especially given that it is in the roots of places like Punjab and Haryana where we saw the emergence of the largest general strike in the entire world's history. So I come from farmers, I come from fighters, I come from laborers, and that's why it's so important for me to know the legacy of people in my parents' generation and carry that fight to City Hall. And one of those issues really looks at the taxi medallion crisis that has plagued our city since at least 2014. Now, when e-hail services like Uber and Lyft came into New York, and when medallion brokers inflated the value of our medallions to millions of dollars, that meant families like mine were on a pathway to massive economic ruin. And that's what happens when we don't put the dignity of our working immigrant families as our first priority in City Hall and in our state government. And so that's why I've been working with even my colleagues like Felicia Singh and groups like the New York Taxi Workers Alliance to build a debt relief plan so that people like my father, who is now 62 years old and still working every single day as a taxi driver and during this pandemic, can get not only a retirement plan and a pension fund, but mental health care services, senior care, and language justice programs to guide them to a path of stability and economic prosperity that they were initially promised when they made good on that medallion years ago. And so for me, I'm really excited to be with all of you here today to hopefully be one of the first South Asians in City Council, and even the first woman to represent District 23, and the first person of color to even represent this district that is not only one of the most diverse in Queens, but is also one of the oldest and is home to so many seniors across our district, which is why we're prioritizing senior care and housing justice within that, to environmental and transportation deserts, knowing that we are in a transportation desert where we don't have any subways, and that decreases the amount of accessibility in our district, especially for folks with disabilities and seniors, and dedicating our time to making sure that we can build out housing equity across our city, knowing that we're coming up against one of the worst eviction and foreclosure crises our city has ever seen. So I want to mobilize all of you to join our campaign to making sure that we can cross that finish line on Election Day on June 22nd. But early voting starts on June 12th, so we need you to hit the phones with us. We're phone banking almost every single day, and we're also door knocking to talk to our neighbors in person every single day. But you can phone bank from wherever you are, especially if you speak a specific language like Punjabi, Bangla, Urdu, Gujarati, you name it, we need you on the phones. So you can log on to jaslinkaur.nyc/events. That's JASLINKAUR.NYC/events to join Team Jaslin and make sure that we can win a dignified life for every single person at every stage of life in every corner of New York City. So I hope you can join me, and thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely terrific. I have to say that was the best video presentation and like usually it felt like she was here. So that's absolutely awesome. So Jaslin, you're not in absentia. Hope you're crushing your debate tonight, and certainly hope you're the best. Hope for the best. Thank you, Felicia, for putting in the link to her website. So that's Jaslin Kaur, everybody. Wishing again, she is in District 23 in Queens. Next candidate is Shekar Krishnan, who is here with us live tonight on the Zoom. So Shekar is a Michigan law graduate. By the way, I didn't know that, Shekar. That's terrific. I have a whole team in Ann Arbor, so my company is co-headquartered there. So that's a great roots. And you've son of South Indian immigrants, has worked for a lot of nonprofits in New York City, and currently does a great job as the co-founder and chief program officer of Communities Resist, which I'm sure he'll tell us about, which is doing anti-displacement legal services to low-income communities of color. So Shekar, you're running for District 25. The floor is yours for 4 minutes. Over to you.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Raj. Thank you so much, Impact. It's so nice to see all of you here today too, and bringing us all together as a community from across the country, really, to support all of us as South Asian candidates who are running, looking to make history, all of us together in New York City. So my name is Shekar Krishnan, and I'm running for City Council to represent my neighbors in Jackson Heights and Elmhurst, Queens. And I always say I'm running because I know how important it is for everyone to have a home, not just a place of shelter, but a place of belonging and inclusion, like Jackson Heights and Elmhurst have been for so many immigrant communities like our own too. And I know that as a civil rights lawyer for tenants, fighting against housing discrimination every day, a longtime community activist in our neighborhoods, and a public school parent of 2 small children too. We know well that Jackson Heights and Elmhurst were the epicenter of this pandemic. And that wasn't an accident. That was a result of decades of disinvestment in our neighborhoods. It was so many of our essential workers who weren't receiving any relief whatsoever from government. So many of our neighbors who couldn't pay their rent. And it was our Elmhurst Hospital that was overwhelmed at the height of the pandemic with less than 1 bed for every 1,000 patients that walked through those doors as a public safety net hospital. This is the magnitude of the crisis that we face in our communities and across our city. And it's really a crisis of racial justice, affordability, and public health. And I always say that any immigrant or any child of immigrants knows these struggles well. When my parents came here from India, as they bounced around from apartment to apartment and job to job, qualifying for every single public benefit at the time, but not able to get a single one because they didn't even know what they were or how to apply for them, which is a problem that our immigrant community still face to this day. They take the 7 train to come here in Jackson Heights to get their groceries, their furniture for their apartment, because this was the only place that reminded them of a home that was 10,000 miles away. And seeing how much they struggled and faced racism and discrimination throughout their careers and their lives, how much so many of my clients who come here with far, far less when they cross the border, without papers, without status, that's what really motivated me to go to law school and become a civil rights lawyer, fighting against housing discrimination in my communities and some of the poorest neighborhoods in this city. And these are fights that we've seen in New York, right? We know how unaffordable New York is becoming, with rents skyrocketing, with luxury rezonings all throughout our city, especially in low-income and sadly in low-income communities of color. And these are fights that we fought here in Jackson Heights too, to stop rezonings, to fight for our public schools, to take a stand against hate against our trans women of color here on Roosevelt Avenue, and to fight for more open space in Jackson Heights and Elmhurst, which rank as some of the lowest neighborhoods when it comes to open space in New York City. And I know it as someone who's fought to really create Diversity Plaza here in our community too. And I always say we face a choice between continuing with the way things are through incremental change, or really rebuilding our city in a way that works for everyone, where housing is a human right, where healthcare doesn't depend on your zip code, and where we're taking on racial injustice in every single institution in our city. I think that's the magnitude of the fight that we face. And I know that bringing this to this race, the perspective of grassroots racial justice work that I've done for years in our communities and around our city, knowing that I strongly believe a better future is possible for all of us. And it's so historic, as I said before, to be running as South Asian candidates. And for me, to be running in Jackson Heights, where one of the places where the diaspora really started in this country, right, for our South Asian communities. So I welcome your support in any way. We are out there every day, phone banking, knocking on doors. I'm a South Asian candidate that speaks fluent Spanish too. And so for me, it's important to bring our immigrant communities together as well. So please visit us at www.voteshekar.com and hope to have your support too in all the activities we have coming up. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much, Shekar. Best of luck. Absolutely terrific. And again, that's District 25 out in Queens. Thanks for those great remarks. Moving right along, we're over in the neighboring district, over in District 26. Amit Bagga, running, who's a native New Yorker. He went to college up in McGill, up in Canada, and got his bachelor's there. He's done a ton of work in government, and he is most recently the deputy director of the New York City Census 2020. Where he helped lead a $40 million campaign to make sure that New Yorkers responded to the census. I think, as many of you know, the census is very much in the news because of congressional redistricting and how it's affecting New York. So we thank you for all your work. And now the floor is yours for the next 3 minutes. Tell us about your city council race.
Thank you so very much, Raj, and thank you to Neil, and thank you also to Suraj for connecting us all together. It's a real honor and pleasure to be with all of you here this evening. As was mentioned, my name is Amit Singh Bagga, and I am running for City Council in District 26 here in Western Queens, right next door to Shekar's district. This district encompasses some very, very diverse neighborhoods. The neighborhoods of Long Island City, Sunnyside, Woodside, the southern part of Astoria, and this neighborhood also includes the largest public housing development in the country, Queensbridge Houses. It's a neighborhood that has long been a magnet for immigrants from all over the world, and today is one of the most diverse and thriving parts of New York City. I'm a native New Yorker. I'm the son of immigrants. Obviously, I'm a proud public school graduate. And, for me, my family has been in New York City for 60 years, a very, very long time. Both my parents were born before the partition of India. My father is Sikh, my mother is Hindu. And so the story of our lives has been one, as is true for so many of us who are part of this discussion this evening, one of real struggle and struggle for acceptance. I grew up as a young queer kid in the Bronx, and I can assure you that that was an experience that was very challenging. And over the course of my career, 15 years in politics and government, I've had to fight my way for respect and relevance through room after room that was not designed for someone like me. And doing so with a commitment to public service, with a commitment to uplifting the floor for immigrants, for workers, for low-income consumers, and making sure that the needs of those New Yorkers who have been most failed historically by policymaking are really put at the heart of the way in which policy is made. That's really the basis of why I'm running for City Council, to rewrite the social contract between government and communities so that we are, in fact, building a city where absolutely every single New Yorker has access to economic opportunity, so that every family can live with dignity and that we can build power together. And here, in New York City, when you look at what our economy was like even prior to COVID-19, a casual observer might tell you that it was an economy that was working for all New Yorkers, that we had historically low rates of unemployment, and that we had record amounts of growth following the 2008 recession. But really, that was a ruse of an economy that was deeply, deeply divided, an economy that was not working for immigrants. It was not working for the large majority of Black, Brown, and Asian New Yorkers, because so much of the employment that had been created in the 10 years between essentially the recession and COVID-19 here in New York City was employment that I refer to as being, quote, at the bottom, jobs that did not provide, simply did not pay enough in wages. People were forced to hold multiple jobs. A huge advent of freelance and gig work that created enormous amounts of economic instability for individuals and families, jobs that did not offer access to skills training, jobs that did not offer access to benefits and services. And as a result, it should come as no surprise to us that New York City's economy cratered just as severely as it did when COVID-19 did hit New York City. And that is because we had such a degree of economic instability that really was afflicting our Black, Brown, Asian, and immigrant communities more so than it was anyone else. And so my primary focus in running for City Council is to make sure that we are building a fair economy that works for everyone, that we are using every single tool in our toolbox as a city, as limited as they might be sometimes in regulating labor, to ensure that we are pushing back against predatory corporations that are preying on low-income immigrants and consumers, on predatory corporations that are preying on undocumented workers. I'm really proud to just a few weeks ago have released the first comprehensive plan anywhere in the nation to leverage municipal business licensing authority to finally rein in the excesses of billion-dollar big tech app food delivery companies that have been preying on undocumented deliveristas here in New York City. 80,000 folks who've been on their bikes and e-bikes for the last year, keeping us fed in the middle of a pandemic while most of us have been safe in our homes. This is exactly the type of creative and effective approach to lawmaking that I hope to bring to the City Council, drawing on many years of public service, working on issues specifically related to immigrants, workers, and consumers. Of course, we're all here tonight because we are talking about representation. We're talking about the importance of representation, the need for representation. I've been really heartened to see that there are so many incredible South Asian candidates across the city that are running for City Council this year. These candidates are not simply South Asian, they are also deeply progressive, they are deeply committed, they are fierce, they are fighters. And what I'm really also proud to share tonight that is very important for me just before I close is that these are South Asians who are coming together across religious lines, across lines of identity and language and culture. And collectively with Shekar, with Felicia, with Jaslin, with Shahana, we have also stood up against the perils of right-wing Hindu nationalism. We have stood up together as South Asians in defense of Indian farmers. We've stood up against the rise of fascism that we are seeing, particularly in India. And I know that if all of us are elected, that we are going to stand tall against all of these really problematic and dangerous developments that we are seeing, not just in certain parts of our country and our politics here in the United States, but also back home. And so I'm really proud to be a part of that coalition of folks. And I'm also really proud to say that if elected, I would be the very first queer South Asian elected official anywhere in the country. So thanks so much again for this opportunity to speak with you here this evening. If you'd like to sign up to volunteer for my campaign, I'm going to drop the link in the chat in just a second. We too are phone banking and door knocking every single day, and we are running in the most crowded primary in New York City, so can definitely use your help. Thanks so much.
Amit, thank you so very much. Absolutely terrific. We really appreciate your comments, and thank you for your work, and shout outs to the other candidates. With an eye on the clock, we'll continue moving to District 32, also out in Queens, of course, to Felicia Singh, who's also a lifelong New Yorker, a master's from Adelphi, teaches English at Coney Island Prep, which is terrific. And she's been involved in a host of community organizations. Felicia, if you could keep it to 3 minutes, we'd appreciate it. The floor is yours.
Sure, absolutely. I am Felicia Singh. I'm a teacher from Ozone Park, running for City Council District 32. This district encompasses neighborhoods of Woodhaven, Ozone Park, Richmond Hill, South Ozone Park, Howard Beach, and the Rockaways. I am a daughter of a taxi driver, and we've experienced the hardship drivers have faced in the medallion crisis. My mother is a school bus matron who, in the pandemic, brought children with disabilities to and from school every day. So I know firsthand what it's like to have a family member be an essential worker during the pandemic that has impacted all of us. Our home is an interfaith and intercultural one, where I was raised by a Muslim Guyanese mother and a Sikh Punjabi father. The experience has created a deep understanding of what our society will begin to look like more and more: intersectional, interfaith, and intercultural. The borough of Queens is so richly diverse with people, food, languages, and ways of life. I am running to represent the only Republican district in Queens. The GOP so desperately wants to latch onto their only seat left. So this is a historical race in so many ways. One where District 32 could have the first woman to represent the community, and New York City could have one of the first South Asians elected to City Council who flipped the borough of Queens completely blue. My work has always focused on fighting to bring resources to our community that we do not have. And my candidacy is centered on the people who've been time and time again completely erased from the electoral organizing in our district. Our lived experiences are enough to qualify us to make our own decisions. We within the South Asian and Indo-Caribbean diaspora need to show up in solidarity and with legislation for issues global and local that impact our communities, such as the farmers' protests in India, the medallion crisis in this city, the Black Lives Matter movement, funding our excluded workers, and violence oppressing Palestinians. We need to be on the right side of justice because there are no do-overs when human lives are impacted. Additionally, we need to work hard for and support candidates that stand for justice consistently and courageously. To flip this seat, I need volunteers who can door knock and phone bank. I'm adamant in reaching all of our voters in this district, and without constituency, there is no district. So each voter must be valued. This is how we build and represent our communities. I would appreciate all of you joining me at Felicia2021.com. Thank you for sharing space with me today, and I'm so glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, Felicia. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks for all your work. We will go on to our final candidate of the evening, who's in District 39 in Brooklyn. So we're actually we're breaking the Queens Mafia here with this one, and we're going out to Brooklyn, which is Shahana Hanif, and she's in District 39. She's a daughter of Bangladeshi immigrants. She's got a bachelor's degree from Brooklyn College. She's been a public housing organizer, and she's most recently worked for my friend Brad Lander as Director of Organizing and Community Engagement. Unfortunately, she also had a conflict tonight, so would love to go ahead and cue the video. So Rob, without further ado, work your magic yet again.
Hi friends, I'm Shahana Hanif, and I'm so excited to join the Impact team this evening. I'm not there to see all the brilliant folks in the room, but I'm so excited to have this opportunity to connect and continue to do the work together of expanding the South Asian electorate in our city. We have an incredibly powerful opportunity to fill New York City Hall with the first slate of South Asians ever elected in our city council. So a big shout out to all of us candidates for taking this big dive and being up for the task to expand elected representation and build up a city that is anti-racist and feminist in our fights for integrated education, climate justice and reparations, worker protections, language access, divesting from police departments, and guaranteed housing for all. I am running to become one of several South Asian and Muslim women elected to the city council and the first woman to lead District 39 in Brooklyn. My district includes Kensington, Windsor Terrace, Borough Park, Park Slope, Carroll Gardens, Cobble Hill, Gowanus, and the Columbia Waterfront. I was born and raised in Kensington, and I'm the daughter of Bangladeshi Muslim immigrants. This is where my sisters and I attended public school and where I've planted deep roots to build community power. My district is among our city's largest voter turnout districts, and over the last few decades, it has become home to the largest Bangladeshi working class community in all of Brooklyn. So my run has been a serious catalyst for my community's engagement in a primary election, which we've been sidelined from. We know that the closed primary election system is a method of voter suppression. So we are charting a new vision for co-governance and a politics that embodies joy, justice, and care for one another. At 17, I was diagnosed with lupus, a chronic illness that catalyzed my lifelong commitment to healthcare advocacy and transit justice. As a disabled teenager, I witnessed our city's nebulous healthcare system and how families with little English proficiency like mine are forced to demand transparency in our care and treatment. Lupus nearly killed me, from losing all my hair after aggressive chemotherapy to after being rejected for our city's paratransit services, having no choice but to go up and down the stairs of subway stations without elevators and escalators as a disabled woman. Now, with both hips and left shoulder replaced, I am ready to bring the cyborg energy into the city council. I've spent years as a tenant organizer, building with public housing residents, bringing working class communities into the housing justice movement. I'm familiar with the inner workings of city council. As the only woman of color at the director level in the current council member's office, I led constituent services and grassroots organizing and community engagement initiatives like participatory budgeting that democratize our city's resources. Through my work in city council, I've brought in funds for an elevator at the subway station in my district's hospital corridor. Together with neighbors, I've transformed an empty lot into a plaza, adding much needed open space for youth and families. I continue to build in coalition with community groups like They Sees Rising Up and Moving, Get Organized Brooklyn, Indivisible Nation Brooklyn, and our congregations to protect immigrant families against ICE raids and deportations. I co-founded the Muslim Writers Collective, Bangladeshi Feminist Collective, and Bangladeshi Americans for Political Progress to build the power and creativity of our communities. The South Asian working class community, and particularly undocumented folks, continue to face unhinged impacts of this pandemic. Our communities work in unregulated sectors as domestic workers, taxi workers, bike food delivery workers, and construction workers. It is high time to prioritize a labor movement in New York City inclusive of South Asians. We continue to demand disaggregated data. At the peak of COVID, our community members were categorized in other or unknown, and we did not have access to detailed ethnic-specific data. Our failure to provide translation services during the pandemic is a reminder that language access is life or death and is crucial to ensuring all New Yorkers are able to engage in our democracy. We need to develop a full-out language access strategy in our city for our communities to feel like they belong. And we need leaders who will support services for survivors of domestic violence and center gender justice. Organizations like Sakhi for South Asian Women and Asia Women's Center have been lifelines for so many women in my district and across New York City. So we are just about 6 weeks away from early voting and the big day, and we have been busy, energized, effervescent. Weeks ago, we released a beautiful list of community endorsements from 100 women in the district. Daily, District 39ers host Zoom meet and greets and invite folks from their building or block, and we are solidly bringing them into our movement. We have brought in so many endorsements, including from labor, like Unite Here Local 100, CWA District 1, CIR SCIU. We are proudly endorsed by the Working Families Party, Sunrise Movement in New York City, Muslim Democratic Club, and more. Folks are inspired, and we need all hands on deck. So I invite you to join Team Shahana to host or join a phone or text bank door knock with us. We have Bangla, Chinese, and Spanish specific opportunities. So let me know if you're fluent, host or attend a Zoom meet and greet if you're in the district. We have opportunities to tap into every single day. I need y'all to get us elected. We need to talk to voters. If there are creative ways you want to support, we welcome that too. Reach out to me at team@shahanafrombk.com or on socials at shahanafrombk. Spread the word, tell other folks this is happening. Let's do this. Thank you so much. Take care.
Hey, thanks so much, Shahana. Again, absolutely incredible, and it feels like she was right here in the room with us. So that's absolutely terrific. Well, we've got 8 minutes left, and so at the risk of actually losing all structure and control, I would love to because we're a small group and a good one. We've got 4 candidates who are here who could take 1 minute each and answer a question. So I just want to ask for any of our great guests. Is anybody? I don't see anything in the chat yet. We can obviously all give you a little bit of time back in your busy evening if you'd like. But any questions that you would have for a specific individual or anyone yet? So look, here's Senator Thomas. Go ahead.
Yes. Listen, I am so incredibly impressed with all the candidates here tonight, and I am so happy that I was here to actually meet all of you virtually, and some of you, through a taped presentation. And one thing comes to mind: all of you have what it takes to represent a community. Your heart's in the right place. You want to help others, and you're not doing this for some other reason. That being said, my one question to all of you is simply this. If you do become a city council member, what would be your #1 priority to get passed?
Sorry, that's absolutely terrific, Senator Thomas, and with senatorial privilege, let's go with that. I'm going to go in the order that I see the names on my screen, so I know that's not the order you see them. But Amit, then Felicia, then Shekar, and then did we lose our 4th? So we'll do the 3. So Amit, yeah, over to you.
Sure. So I was actually asked this very same question at a local community event last night. And Felicia, I hope you will forgive me because I think I'm going to give an answer that you might give as well. But I think it just goes to show the degree of unity that we have among the South Asian candidates on issues that we care about. Let's just be very frank. This is a city that just 10 days ago released a $100 billion budget. And yet it cannot find 75 million, which is less than 0.1% of that budget, to somehow relieve taxi drivers, largely South Asian, almost entirely immigrant, who have literally lost all of their savings, are on the verge of losing their homes, who 9 of whom have committed suicide as a result of the medallion crisis. We have not been able to find $75 million to somehow wipe away that debt. This is entirely the result of the city of New York creating a secondary market, failing to regulate that market, allowing it to crash, and basically demonstrating that it has absolutely no care or concern for the very immigrant workers that keeps the city moving. I am not the child of a taxi driver, but this is an issue that I find so unconscionable, so deeply disturbing. And I'd be very proud, with Jaslin and Felicia leading the way, of course, to have this be the #1 issue that we address when we are elected.
Thank you. Very, very well said. And sorry, I misspoke earlier. Of course, we have 3 candidates in person and 2 are on video. So Felicia, over to you, and then Shekar, and then I'll make some final comments and we'll wrap. Go ahead, Felicia.
Thank you for amplifying our issues, Amit. I really appreciate that. I mean, and this is why we need to work really hard, not to just elect one South Asian. We need so many of us to be represented in city council with 51 seats. Since Amit spoke about that, and I totally agree, I hope to work with him doing this work and reversing the damage our city has done to our taxi drivers in our communities. I live in a coastal district. District 32 is right by the sea, and we were terribly impacted by Hurricane Sandy. Building back took too long, sending federal dollars here, and we need a climate resiliency plan that works for all of us. So one of the first pieces of legislation that I want to put out is actually an integrated plan that mandates city agencies to work with communities to build a climate resiliency plan that works for all of us. Currently, city agencies work separate and spend separate money separately to really build a plan that our community members aren't informed about, don't understand, and really don't work for District 32 and many other coastal districts throughout the city. So I'm really hoping to do this work with our community members. And I just want to amplify Rohit's question about whether or not Green New Deal, rent relief is something that's electable. It absolutely is. Thank you.
Absolutely terrific. Thank you for that. And Shekar, you have a minute here to talk about your #1 issue.
Sure. Well, I echo exactly what Felicia and Amit said on these urgent issues that we face. Another one I would say is we know that immigrant labor is what built our city before, during, and after this pandemic. And one of the most egregious parts of this pandemic was how so many of our immigrant workers were excluded from every form of government relief. They received no paid sick leave, no unemployment. And this meant that many of them then couldn't pay their rent and were freaked out about eviction. And so my #1 priority would be to create an unemployment insurance program for all our undocumented workers who have been excluded from this pandemic. And to do so with organizations on the ground that have been leading the way on this fight, like Make the Road New York, that's endorsed our campaign too. And it's really, with so many others, finally fought at the state level to create a fund for excluded workers that was so historic. And now we need to do the same at the city level to help all those who sustained the city during the pandemic, but were excluded altogether.
Thank you so much, Shekar. Let me just echo Kevin's comments, which is I've been doing this for 25 years. And I was just joking to Rob, I think this might be my 11,000th panel that I've moderated. I think it's my only skill left in my career. And I don't think I've ever seen as good an array of both elected officials and Jenifer and Kevin, but also 5 candidates. I mean, sharp, articulate, passionate, extremely informed about the issues. An absolute honor to work with you and support you. I was elected in Kansas, and we have a line back there, which is called the altar call. And so what we mean by that is, actually, what can we do to help these folks? And so it's very, very important. One thing that is an awesome aspect of New York City is obviously public matching funds. So, and Rob, I'll ask you on the fly here. I believe, and actually for the 3 of you, I believe you're maxed out on contributions. Is that right? If I could see a nod there. Okay. So for those of you who are joining who don't do a lot of politics and assume that politicians only ask you for money, no one's asking for money tonight. And that is extraordinarily refreshing. And it's a function of public financing of elections. And so what they are asking you for is your people time and your bodies. So I have, just to put to walk my talk, I've already emailed my mom. I WhatsApped her, of course, being a good Desi. I WhatsApped her, and she speaks obviously Punjabi. I shouldn't say obviously, but she speaks Punjabi and English. So she'll be working the phones for these 3 great candidates, all 5 candidates as her schedule permits now that she's retired post-COVID. And I will also ask my mother-in-law to do the same, and we're going to get the word out for these great candidates. So we could not be more impressed. We have an incredible chance. I know we're going to make history because, of course, we hope all 5 of you get over the line and take that, in good Desi tradition. There's no reason we should just have one. We should take 10% of the council in next month. Why the fuck not? This is exactly the way our community does it, and we're so very, very proud of you. So please do, all of you, take time. Everybody gave you their campaign information. Be in touch with them as you're able. I will just in final closing give it over to Neil, our executive director, to close us out for the night. But once again, if you could, I do this in my company, join me. You can come off mute and give these guys a round of applause. It's very, very difficult to run for office. They deserve a lot. So we really, really thank you very much, all 3 of you and the 2 who can be here tonight. And a final thank you to Assemblywoman Rajkumar and Senator Thomas for gracing with your presence tonight. Neil, why don't you close us out?
Sure. I just want to thank everyone again. Just repeating, what Raj said. It's really phenomenal to see you all on the ballot. I've been a candidate. I know what it's like and how hard it is in terms of what you're doing. So appreciate all of your effort. And just to give a plug to our team, so Impact has grown tremendously. We added 5 people in the last couple of weeks. So in addition to Rob, the political director, we have Ashni, who's on. She's the digital director. Sarah Shah, who's our community engagement director. Nadia, who comes from Suraj's campaign, just started yesterday. We have a tremendous team that is here to support you in every way we can. That's when you're running, and also to help you lead once you're elected. So, and one thing I really want to note is many of us have families in India, which is, it's just a really difficult time right now. My family, it feels like most have had COVID or been hospitalized. Some of them, thankfully, have not lost anyone, but to anyone who has, we're thinking of you. And I want to thank Senator Thomas. Others may have done something, but I know Senator Thomas worked with Northwell Hospital to help get 1,000 oxygen concentrators and more supplies to India. So just thank you, Senator Thomas, for your work there, and just really appreciate it. I just want to kind of remind folks, please follow us. We'll have much more activity going on. We have an event with Attorney General Gurbir Grewal coming up next week that we scheduled after the shooting in Indianapolis to talk about what he's doing in regard to hate crimes, as well as some other work he's doing in the criminal justice space. So please join us for that. And, we'll be following your races. I will sign up. I will make phone calls. And it seems like there are many people in the chat who are gonna do the same. So thank you all for joining us. And
have a great night, everybody. Go get them. Good luck to all of you. We're proud of you.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.